Welcome back into the film room. I'm your host, Erik Turner. This week, of course, Mr. Nate Geary is joining me in the film room to break down some Josh Allen film. What's going on, brother?
Nothing much, man. Looking forward to another prime time. We got three more.
Yeah.
3 more prime times. Well, definitely my sleeping schedule is going to be a little off, but I'm ready for them. The bright lights are on, and the Bills are rising to the occasion. So it's I'm really looking forward to this film breakdown, man. I've been kind of champing at the bit about this one for like 24 straight hours. I'm not gonna lie.
Dude, you're not the only one. Obviously, a Monday night game. I felt like we haven't been in the film room for a while, but it also took forever to get to that game against the Niners on Monday night. And I've had people sending me messages, "Hey, where's the film room? Where's the film room?" I'm like, "Hey guys, we're a day behind. The game was Monday night. It's coming out tonight. Don't you worry." But just like the fans, we are ready to jump into the film. But let's start with, of course, some of the stats, some of the context, and your overall thoughts on the game. What were your thoughts on Josh Allen's game on the big stage with everyone? Eyes are on him. What were your thoughts from Josh Allen and obviously Brian Daboll's scheme?
Well, let's start with Brian Daboll's scheme because I could go all day about the other. And I think the thing that I'm enjoying the most, and somebody tweeted this today, and for the life of me, I wish I could credit them for the tweet, but Brian Daboll did this last year. He was scheming this up last year, but the offense was they were this far off. They were just inches away from making big plays regularly. But I'll be damned if Brian Daboll wasn't scheming them up every single week. The difference is this year is Josh Allen has elevated his game, and he's elevated. We are finally, Erik, talking about a player here in Buffalo that is elevating the play of the people around him. Gabriel Davis, Isaiah McKenzie. Now we're seeing Dawson Knox start to flash some of the things in the short areas of the field, in the red zone, becoming a short passing game target outside of Cole Beasley that you can start to rely on. And those are huge, huge developments. And none of those developments happen without Josh Allen beginning to raise the level of play of people around him. And I think it's one of the most interesting parts of his development is how they've surrounded him with this talent, but also how he's lifted that talent up. And I think Monday night was such a fantastic example of a player who is in the spotlight. The lights are on. You're on Monday Night Football. You are being talked about as an underdog to a 5-6 football team, and all the talk was about Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh has got a great the sum is greater than the parts, and they don't need Nick Bosa because they got. And listen, Fred Warner, if he's not the best linebacker in football, he's the second best. And if he's not the second, he's the third. Like, he is one of the best linebackers in football, man. I really like Javon Kinlaw a lot. I thought Jason Verrett, up until this game, you could probably put him in the argument for comeback player of the year. That's how good he's played.
He's been amazing.
And the Bills made him look like the Seattle Seahawks. And I think the most important thing that we're seeing is at the highest stage when, less talented or just not the same level player might grip the ball a little tighter. He might, he might crumble under the pressure. He might short arm a throw. This guy, Josh Allen, is bringing his game to the ceiling at the most important times. And I think that's the biggest difference between this player that we've seen this year and last year is when when you need him to be perfect, when you need him to step up and sort of be the guy that carries the torch for this football team, and everyone else follows, Erik. Everyone follows when Josh Allen is the guy that's running things, when that offense goes down the field. And even though they didn't score, that defense responded, and you felt like when Josh Allen carries the torch to start these games, the team follows, and it shows.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned, he was locked in, man. There's no doubt about it. He was locked in. No one can deny that. He's getting all the praise now early this week, rightfully so, because he was locked in this game, locked into the coverages that the defensive coordinator for the Niners was throwing at him. And I thought that coordinator, Robert Saleh, was playing way too passive. Yeah. He was not attacking Josh. As you kind of saw at the top of the show, they only blitzed him a few times, 10 to 12 times, according to Pro Football Focus. So they've tried playing coverage. And, early on in the year after the Bills, maybe the 5th or 6th game, the Titans game, when that blueprint came out, it worked pretty well. Josh was hesitant to kind of check it down, throw it underneath, but you saw him hit his tight ends in the flats, hit his running backs underneath in this game. So he was taking what the defense was giving him. But when that defense was given the opportunity to push it down the field or even just extend the play with a 4-man rush. He's standing back there. He has all day, 3.4 seconds back there. And he's, with instructor, there's no one open. I'm going to extend the play a la, like a Patrick Mahomes, get outside the pocket. And that's not leaving a clean pocket, guys. That's a guy's internal clock saying, okay, it's time to do something with the ball. And you're going to see a bunch of those plays tonight where he just extends a play, even though there's a 4-man rush, and just throws these dimes down the field where, there was like 4 to 6 of them where only, 2, 3, maybe 4 guys that are in the league can make this throw. So when a guy is that locked in, as you said, and everyone else responds around him, there's a lot of talk about, Josh's play this year being the result of his weapons. And there's no doubt being surrounded this guy with weapons to figure out if Josh is that franchise guy. I think it's pretty clear he is now. But you have to give Josh credit for being able to distribute to those weapons, keeping everybody happy and hitting those guys in the areas that they're comfortable catching the ball and comfortable doing things with the ball in their hands. And I think Dable and Josh Allen they've been phenomenal overall this year. And especially in this Niners game, I think it all came out in this game. And I'd say, I don't know, would you agree that this was probably his best game as a professional?
Yeah, it's tough because it feels disingenuous because it feels like we've said it so many times this year, but it is the God honest truth. And, for me, your point about, the way he's doing this, right? The thing that I think intrigues me the most and excites me the most, he's got a signature play now. And what I mean by that is he's got what Mahomes has, which is he breaks the pocket and throws across his body. And when you play zone coverage, he will eat you alive and he will have fun and smile doing it. Yeah. And the thing that Josh Allen is starting to incorporate is when he rolls out to the right. And I know they flaunted about it on the broadcast, but that's not necessarily where I'm going with this. No. The sideline scramble rules play out of scheme a little bit, out of off schedule, is becoming undefendable from a defensive standpoint. And
this is something we talked about in prior years. If you guys flash back to the Clay play where he, that scramble drill, he's running left, he's running right, he's frantic, and his receivers didn't know where to go, didn't know how to set up the scramble drill. And you heard Josh talk about that this week, I believe, in his presser is, that scramble drill, it can be better still, but they're doing a lot better in that regard. And that's something we've talked about for years now, and you're seeing it all come together. And I agree. I think that is becoming a signature play, especially when these defenses are just playing coverage and only rushing 4 guys and playing quarters on the deep end, on the back end there.
Taking candy from a baby.
And look at it. And look, these are the stats per Sports Info Solutions for Josh Allen against the Niners versus zone coverage. 27 dropbacks, 24 attempts, 20 completions, 20 were on target for 273 yards, 215 air yards, and 1 touchdown. So he was pushing the ball down the field rather well in this area and against zone coverage. And this was, I feel like every week or every other week at the least, Josh Allen's breaking narratives, man. Josh Allen can't throw versus tight man coverage. He squashed that early in the year. Josh Allen can't throw versus zone. He can't decipher a process zone coverage. We saw in the Titans game. We saw several games after that, zone coverage. Well, guess what? As you guys saw in the broadcast, as you're seeing right now, he's putting those narratives to bed almost every week, every other week.
He is. And it's God bless him, because there still are people that want to figure out what it is that they can poke a hole in. And God bless him, because it's a weird place to still be about Josh Allen. And listen, we're just at a point where he's playing at a level that's undeniable, that you cannot explain away what we're seeing from Josh Allen. And because of that, my biggest point and my biggest concern about this team was how consistent could this team truly play at its ceiling? And so far, that was a 4-quarter game on Monday night. That was as close to a 3-phase 4-quarter football game that we've seen all year long. And if they can play that style of football led by Josh Allen for 4 quarters, they are going to have an opportunity to beat every single football team, all other 31 teams in the National Football League, if they can play to that standard. And what we all wanted to see, what I wanted to see, and what I was nitpicking through wins was to just be sure that at the end of the day, if they play their best, to know that they could win a Super Bowl is something I just wanted to feel confident about. And I do, after watching that Monday night game, that I can feel confident that there is 4 quarters of football in this football team, to me indicates they're a Super Bowl contender.
No doubt. They showed on the big stage that they can run with the best. That was a tough Niners defense, even with some of the guys they were missing. That's a top defensive coordinator in the league, top scheme. I mean, all of the, the coverage, the secondary is one of the better secondaries, better coach secondaries in the league, scheme-wise and everything. So Josh picked that apart and picked apart a very good defense, and Dable obviously drew up some really nice plays. So let's jump into the film to show you guys. Obviously, there's more highs than lows in this game. And so let's go ahead and jump into the film. All right, Nate. Early in the game, first quarter, 13:55 on the clock, 1st and 10 situation. Bills ran a little tempo. They wanted to get Allen started, pretty hot and early in this game. And so they go on no huddle. They put Josh Allen under center in a 2x2 set. And this is the pass to Cole Beasley down the seam, slow plays his release, and then just releases right down the numbers and blows by that defender to the top of the screen. And I do think this was a blown coverage. I think this was supposed to be some of that cover 3 match, not a normal zone drop by this defender right here. But I think this was supposed to be, with those 2 guys going vertical, I think this defender is supposed to match Beasley down the seam, because you can kind of see this corner right here and his width. Normally, if this is a normal cover 3 look, this guy, the corner, would be splitting these 2 verticals and getting to his deep third. He's not doing that. This tells me that to the top of the screen, it's that rip list concept that we always talk about. It's supposed to be man-to-man as those guys release. Either way, Josh Allen throws a strike down the seam from right around the 30-yard line here. And I just love his drop from under center. It's not something the Bills do all that often. They're only under center, I think 21% of the time, so not that much. But I want you to talk about Josh Allen being under center here and his footwork as he's making this drop, because he's obviously having to process the coverage as well as, get that deep drop and scan the field and move defenders with his eyes and then slide and make that throw down the seam.
Well, first and foremost, if you're in a room where your wife or kids might be, dim the computer screen down a little, turn the volume down, because what Cole Beasley does on this route is not suitable for work. And I just love the pace of this route, because it lulls the defender to sleep. It is just a clinic. And we can't be shocked that it's this early in a football game and we're watching, Cole Beasley put that clinic on like he is in this game. But what I like about this, and, if you're watching this and maybe you're a traditionalist and typical drops, right? At a 5-step drop, you don't typically want to see a quarterback fall or move away or sort of veer away off of a straight line. You want to see him move up a little bit in the pocket. But on this play, what I like is Josh pretty much knows right here where the ball is going, because he sees the leverage of the defender.
Yeah.
So what
even and leaving, right?
Right. Yeah. And what Josh is actually doing is moving closer to the throw. He's actually creating some leverage within his own mechanics to deliver this ball in a window. And although it looks really easy and looks like a big window, this ultimately doesn't end up being a huge window to throw into. So he's really able to create some momentum. He's able to create some velocity with that little crow hop, that little like center fielder, getting the ball crow hop and getting it to home plate. It's kind of what the feel of this footwork is. So it really gets him an opportunity to create a little bit more velocity while also using a little trajectory on the football to deliver a really, really accurate football. But yeah, I mean, it's really nice all around. But like I said, him moving out of the pocket actually brings him a little bit closer and makes this window a little more available to him.
Yeah, and I like his mechanics of how he rotates this pass through, because he is drifting a little bit to his left, and I think he's doing that because of this, initial pressure right here. Because let's talk about Mitch Morse as this defender right here flashes in his face, because you got to remember, guys, he's looking to the right here. That defender's flashing in his face. And so he's going to slide to his left a little bit, and then he's got that looping edge player right there. So he kind of slides to his left, and I like Nate's point about how he's getting closer to his target, but also how he kind of, as he's drifting to his left a little bit, he drags that back foot a little bit so that when he transfers his weight, he's not over-transferring it and throwing that ball high and leaving it high. So good play by Josh Allen from under center. Again, this is a lot to process, especially for a guy who is not under center all that often. He's having to scan the entire field, process the rush in front of him, find that platform, and then deliver a strike down the seam. All right, still in the first quarter, 12:53 on the clock, 2nd and 5 situation. The Bills have Diggs in a tight alignment to the top of the screen. This is a play Nate and I have broken down several times this year. They throw a little wrinkle into this as well. It's an RPO or a run pass tag. It's hard to tell. Either way, they're selling run, but Josh is going to pull it on this play because the safety is blitzing off the edge right here. But I want you guys to pay attention to Josh Allen's mechanics because his feet aren't really ideal in this situation, but he's still able to hit this pass. You see his feet basically perpendicular to the line of scrimmage right here. And he's got to obviously place this with tight coverage. He's got to have really good placement on this to the outside shoulder to Diggs here. But he also has to get it up and over this safety right here. And he does a great job of rotating his core, his hips, and just winging it out there with good placement to Diggs on this pass. It's something we've broken down several times, Nate. I want you to talk about it here from the end zone angle.
Yeah, what I love about, well, first and foremost, I like that, you know, we're seeing more RPO, which you know that I love.
Yes.
But I think most importantly, your point about the immediate defender is actually the more pressing topic of this throw, which is you have this immediate defensive back who's right in Josh Allen's face as he pulls up to make this throw. So he's actually falling away from the throw a little bit, which is going to allow him to sort of loft the ball just over the reach of the defender here. So this isn't a typical one trajectory type of throw. You're going to, and that's his mechanics are actually leading him a little to loft that ball. So I like it from a mechanic standpoint. The thing that you're going to continue noticing, and this is the big mechanical difference, this throw really illustrates it, the torque that you see in his midsection this year.
Yes.
And you'll see it on a throw I'm sure we'll be breaking down, which is the throw that just gets over the reaching hands of Fred Warner.
Yes.
It's not the actual when the end zone angle and you see Josh throwing the football from the front side and you see Josh throw the football and he's square to the target after the ball is released from his hands. He is, even though he's off platform, he is still finishing on platform.
Yes.
And it's almost every time. So yes, his mechanics, you might look at this and say, this is a little sloppy. He's falling away from the ball, but look where he's ending. Look where the ball is. The ball is going exactly where his body's taking the ball. And in years past, he was not engaging the lower body. He was not following through on these balls. The left arm, he wasn't eating the hamburger. And now we're seeing so many different subtleties within his mechanics. And I think it's really all stemming from that left arm. I really do. And you're seeing the follow through going to the sideline where you need to. So maybe the initial placement, the mechanics, the platform aren't exactly perfect. It's where he's finishing this year that I think is really bridging the gap from the accuracy issues he had last year to just him being so spot on in those short and intermediate passes now.
Yes. I mean, again, he talks about being a rotational passer, and yes, his feet aren't, ideal here, but as you said, he uses his hips, his core to overcome that, because a lot of quarterbacks are not going to have time, especially when you're under pressure, under duress, to have proper footwork. You have to be able to make throws off platform. And this is one of those plays where, it's quick. He's got a defender in his face. He can't really set his feet, especially because of the way the play action's set right here. And I mean, these are plays, if you look back to his college days, you're going to see him again. His transfer of his weight is going to be off. His feet are going to be similar to this, but he's not able to rotate through. He's not able to keep that elbow and that arm tight to his body and not throw it like a whipping motion. And he keeps everything tight here. He's able to get over that defender, through that defender for the first down. All right, Nate, bottom of the first quarter, 1st and 10 situation. This is the deep pass outside of structure to Cole Beasley from the slot to the top of the screen. You're going to see Josh extend the play versus the 4-man rush, break the pocket, and then unleash a throw from right around the 29-yard line to nearly the 30 of the Niners here. A lot of people are going to look at this play and going to say, why is Josh leaving the pocket? It's a 4-man rush. They have basically 5 guys with the run, 5 guys, blocking for him, and then add in the running back, 6 guys versus 4 rushers. Well, Josh is looking to the top of the screen, and the defense does a good job of taking away the bender route by Lee Smith, and you don't want to throw it to Lee Smith over the middle on a bender route against quarters coverage anyways. Obviously, you see these 3 defenders in that middle of the field area and the safety slicing over the top. So Josh is looking at the top, and there's nothing there. So he realizes as those guys are going vertical that he's got to break this play off because it's really not ideal versus this coverage versus quarters coverage. This is more of a cover 3 beater. It's, sending those guys down the seams, throwing that bender route over the middle. 3.3 seconds in the pocket for Josh. He says, I got to go make a play. He escapes the pocket and, again, makes that throw. So I want you to talk about Josh Allen's playmaking ability on this play and what you like from the top.
Off script, scramble rules. And one of the things we talked about at the intro is this guy is creating this signature play where he becomes really undefendable from a defensive standpoint when they go off script, when he starts moving outside of the pocket and can allow his receivers to get in scramble rules. Because to your point, this is not an ideal coverage beater against the defense that they had out there. So what's the ultimate equalizer? Josh Allen forcing defenders to break the integrity of their zone, which means scramble rules in effect. Someone's going to break free. Someone's going to get open. All you have to do is deliver an accurate throw and leave it to Josh Allen to just deliver a 40-yard absolute dime down the field. And it's impressive, but it really is just difficult to defend. So I love your point. It's not him bailing out of the pocket. It's him extending the play and creating a play from otherwise a well-defended play by the defense.
Yeah, and I like his processor. His ability to pre to post snap was really good this game. It's really quick. He moved through his reads, through his progressions really quick. But I also want you guys to pay attention to his body language. You see him prior to snap. He was swinging his arms. He was in the zone. But also watch his feet. He was so light on his feet on Monday night. Just watch his feet on this play and how light he is, how he's bouncing. He's really light. He's, able to move through. You can see him reset his feet several times. Now he's looking to escape the pocket and play outside of structure here. And again, as that guy's, bearing down on him, he's able to make this throw to his right from right around the 29 to Beasley. And Beasley, again, the biggest part of this play is that the safety, in that quarter's coverage, he sliced on Lee Smith right there, which opened up this half of the field. So yes, the Niners had a decent play called versus this concept, but because of that good coverage and that good play by Jimmy Ward, the safety number 20 there, it opened up this half of the field for Josh to exploit outside of script, and you see him do that here to Cole Beasley down the field. All right, top of the second quarter, 14:46 on the clock. 2nd and 12 situation. Bills have 12 personnel on the field. They motion Dawson Knox to the bottom of the screen into a 3-by-1 set, and this is the dagger concept from Josh Allen to Gabriel Davis over the middle. Quite possibly, it's something we say almost every week, one of his best throws of his career. So I like the timing and footwork from Josh under center, understanding the spatial awareness of the defense here off of play action, and really throwing a guy open here, because I want to take a look at this play. And first of all, let me just kill any type of narrative of Josh missed Lee Smith to the top of the screen, because I think this is a busted coverage. This is Sherman right here. I think he's supposed to stick with Lee Smith to the top here. And he understands that's Lee Smith and he's not really a threat. So he freestyles and blitzes here. So I think that does leave Smith open there, but obviously Josh is working the half of the field to the bottom there. So he's not expecting Lee Smith to be wide open, especially against a top flight corner like Richard Sherman. So let me kill that first of all. Second of all, I just love Josh's ability to understand the spatial awareness here. So as the play develops and Davis gets that clearing route from Diggs right here and makes his break to the middle of the field, you see Jason Verrett break on the ball, attach to that hip, and attempt to undercut this pass here. So if Josh were to throw in this first window, Nate, I don't think it makes it in there for two reasons. One, I think Warner, just based on where he is spaced on this hash, I think he's baiting Josh to throw this dagger concept right there through that window, through that first window, so that he could pick it off. Second of all, if he does make that throw in that first window and it does somehow get by Warner here, I think Verrett is undercutting that and picking it off. So what does Josh do? He throws it up and over the top of Warner. So as Warner's bailing this way and getting depth and a little width, he throws it into this window. And you can see as Davis is breaking to the middle of the field, he's not at top speed. And in fact, I think he throttles down in the window for Josh right here and is expecting the ball in this first window. So when Josh anticipates this throw, you see the ball's already out of his hands. When he anticipates this throw, he throws it to a spot over the middle, throws Davis open, tells him, hey, get to that spot. And he absolutely does. Just pulling the string on this play, Nate. How many quarterbacks are making this throw?
Yeah, I was joking. That first window where Fred Warner's very clearly baiting him to throw into, now that's a window. Where Josh Allen throws the football is not a window for like 99% of quarterbacks in the world. this is a 99 percentile type of throw.
Yeah.
One that you typically would never even look at because it's just this is a confidence throw. This is a feel throw. This is, what it reminds me of, if I'm being totally honest, it reminds me of Peyton Manning when Peyton, it felt like, was repping him and Brandon Stokely and Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne and Wes Welker. What they were famous for was being able to rep things so much that they just knew where each other was going to be. This is a rookie receiver playing in his 12th game.
It's a trust throw to him too.
It is as trust as you could, like the level of confidence, the size of your balls. Like there is so much to being able to right here, something in his mind saying that's the one. I mean, everything that goes into that is sort of unbelievable and good for Gabriel Davis for, first of all, putting himself in position to make the play because Josh Allen trusted him to get to a spot. Yeah. But this is a throw like that. This is what coaches would refer to as there is no defense for a perfect throw. There just is no defense for a perfect throw. And this is as good of coverage as you want, especially for zone. You have the best linebacker in football who, again, if you're any quarterback in football, you see number 54 and you're saying, where else am I going? Anywhere else? Anything else available? And to your point, too, about Lee Smith, yeah, so it looks like initially I noticed this in real time when they played the replay. Lee Smith first tries to chip
shows the block. Yeah.
He shows block. So that initially makes a guy like Richard Sherman, who's very instinctual. I mean, not very many corners in the NFL have the free range to do something like that. That's just Richard Sherman being Richard Sherman and making a good football play.
Yeah, it's a good tendency too. I mean, Lee Smith, especially in this game, he's helping a lot on chips and chip releases and staying in the block on play action passes. I mean, that's a good tendency and good read by Sherman. And, especially on, a play action pass from under center, which is when the Bills do pass, it's usually these type of deep play action passes. And dude, I mean, this throw, again, he pulled the string, but he's thrown this from the 40-yard line to like the 11 or 12-yard line to a spot.
Sexy,
oh my goodness.
The other thing, I think it's just important to bring this up. Look how well the offensive line has this blocked. Mm-hmm. I mean, the communication for you had the twist coming in from 90 here. You get the chip from just everything across the board.
Yeah.
Was really, this was the kind of play that like Bill Walsh would play back during his sessions with his teams, right? Like this is the type of play that will go into a playbook of throw that I never, ever want you to make, but wouldn't it be cool if you could?
Right. No, I love your point about the offensive line. It's something that, we're here to break down Josh Allen, but you got to give kudos to the offensive line because they gave Josh Allen all the time in the world. Good, stunt pass inside between Bakker and Mitch Morse. And again, little chip from Singletary to kill that twist out wide. And again, the throw is just on the money. All right, second quarter, 10:30 on the clock, 1st and 10 situation. Bills motion into a 2-by-2 set, and you're going to see Fred Warner and the Niners, go to their quarters coverage. That's their hand signal for quarters coverage. You see them right there. So the Bills are running double post concept to the bottom and just a curl route. It's something that was open versus a lot of the zone coverages that the Niners were throwing at the Bills on Monday night. Allen extends a play and under duress. I mean, he breaks the tackle in the pocket basically from Kinlaw. As the Niners really only rush 3 defenders right here. But when you play coverage, as we talked about at the start, and you play coverage and you don't have a pass rush, you don't disguise that well, you don't get Josh to really hold on to the ball and you don't confuse him, and you're playing zone coverage, you're going to have guys like Diggs find holes like he does here in the zone coverage. And Josh from this end zone angle, you guys are going to see it. It's just an incredible job of him breaking a tackle in the pocket and extending the play. And this is Kinlaw. This guy is a beast. I saw him at the Senior Bowl in person, and he's a monster. He was just killing guys down there. So I'm not surprised that with this, partial slide protection that he does spin out of it. Look at that athleticism by number 99 right there, just spinning out twice basically on the play here and getting right in Josh Allen's face. And watch Allen, guys. His eyes are downfield. He is trying to read when Diggs is about to break and get rid of it, but because of the pressure in his face, he has to extend the play, and you see Kinlaw basically grab his arm right there. He slips a tackle, and Josh is able to make the throw to Diggs. So talk about the strategy by the defensive coordinator of the Niners here, and obviously the play from the pocket and extending the play from Josh Allen.
Yeah, you're Javon Kinlaw. I don't know what else you're supposed to do. I mean, you've got a hold of the guy's left arm. He shouldn't be able to make that throw, but he does. And yeah, what I like about this in particular is this is a Stefon Diggs that just understands leverage, understands the holes in the defense and in his zone. And these are the sorts of plays we keep talking about. We kept seeing on Monday night these off-script plays where Josh Allen breaks the pocket. And guys know where to go. They just instinctually know where to go. And against zone defense, it becomes almost easier because they don't have a guy in trail technique. They can't just break off a guy. There is no guy in trail technique.
I mean, look at this, dude. There's 4 guys basically. And I mean, I know Warner's, backs to him, but there are guys, occupying Stefon Diggs and having their eyes on Diggs here.
Yeah, 100%. And for him to be able to come back, and again, what this is, it's good coaching too. He's coming back to the football. He's making himself available for the quarterback. This is a 1st and 10 play. And I love the play action from under center. Another example. He did this a few times, and I like him because, especially on these longer developing routes, starting from under center, flashing the ball, it gives a little more time to those receivers downfield to develop those routes deeper in the zones. And on a play like this, I mean, if you're the defender, you're looking at Stefon Diggs, 3/4 of that route, it looks like he's just going vertical up the seam. So he does a good job cutting it off, coming back, but making himself available, coming back to the football to make this an easier throw for Josh so that's not contested.
All right, end of the half. The Bills start off a little slow on this drive, but then they get a couple nice plays and they decide that they're going to put the pedal to the metal and start to go for some points. So end of half situation. Josh does a great job of working the pocket here, extending the play and getting his eyes back up downfield to create a big play to Diggs coming across the middle. So the Niners are dropping out in the quarters coverage again. So they have 4 over the top, 3 under, and Diggs is coming from the top of the screen and that nasty alignment. And you're going to see that safety to the top of the screen slice. So he's going to cut that route on Diggs, and Beasley's route is coming over the middle and kind of slows up that safety just a little bit. But it's really Josh that makes this play because he's under duress. And yes, Diggs is open, but there's no way Josh can get Diggs the ball right away because there's a nice little twist inside. But Josh does a great job keeping his eyes downfield. And here's the first guy he makes miss, steps up in the pocket, but then he immediately sees that the looping defender is now in his face. And what does he do? Just slides to his left, gets his eyes back downfield, reacquires that target, and hits Diggs for an explosive play. And he gets out of bounds, obviously, to stop the clock. So, Nate, I want you to talk about, the play from the top because it's a play that obviously the Bills love to run, a lot of those deep crossers, but also Josh Allen's footwork in the pocket and ability to extend the play from the pocket.
Yeah, I mean, that's everything on this play. But, understanding the down and the distance, where they are on the field, what the situation is. This is a team up a score. Okay, it's 14-7 at this point. This is a situation they run on first down to start the drive. Yeah. And all you're looking to do is get a feel. Now, Devin Singletary breaks off a 70-yard run. You've got 3 timeouts. Wheels are turning. We're moving. This is the type of play that not only ends up being a big reason, and a couple plays later you see the Gabriel Davis play, but on a very similar concept too, that deep crosser. Yeah. It just became very difficult for these San Francisco defenders in their zones because all of what they naturally want to do is leave their zone, especially for a guy like Stefon Diggs coming on this crossing route. And you see 20, I think, on this play. Is that Jimmy Ward?
Right here at the bottom?
Yeah, it's like he wants to leave his zone for Stefon Diggs. But the thing about Josh Allen that is hard to account for every week is his ability to break contain, get off script, get off schedule, and make a throw like this. And to your point about him keeping his eyes upfield, and on understanding the down and distance here, man, I don't know how many years past or how many times in years past is he just tucking and running this thing. I don't know, maybe. He's not a running quarterback anymore, Erik. I mean, he is using his feet. He's got 300-something yards. This might be the most rushing yards we ever see from Josh Allen again this year. Like, he's turning into a guy that wants to use those feet, not to beat you in a 40, 50-yard run, sometimes extend some drives and move the sticks. He wants to use his feet to give himself better passing windows, get himself back on platform, to let his receivers downfield be the ones to make the plays. Not only is that going to be great when you have weapons like Stefon Diggs and Cole Beasley, where it's worthwhile to do that, but you're going to be talking about a player that can extend his career and the longevity in this league by becoming a guy that wants to win from the pocket, and not only win from the pocket, but win at an elite level from the pocket. And that's what Josh has really been able to do. And this is like just another perfect example of all of what we've been talking about: off schedule, The ability to deliver the ball while moving, and maybe more importantly, understanding the situation, getting him out of bounds, and stopping the clock and giving your offense another opportunity to continue going down the field, score points before the half. It's a really, really solid play from the offense all around.
Yeah, and I like as Josh is taking the snap, he's obviously it's not really on target, but as he executes the play fake, I noted that his eyes are to the field, his eyes are to his left, and he's looking out wide because he wants to see how those corners are playing. Is that corner going to bail deep with those routes to the bottom, that to the bottom of the screen that we showed you? And, he's scanning the entire field. He's getting a read from left to right. And as he hits the top of his drop, look at his footwork. He hits the back foot. Oh, I got pressure on my face. Okay, I'll make him miss. And this is not just anyone. This is Armstead he's making miss. So he's climbing the pocket. Now he's got a defender in his face. He makes that guy miss. And then again, the transfer of the ball here and his throw. I mean, he's, elevating off that right foot, throwing it to Diggs, and look where he puts it. Puts it in a place that Diggs can, catch it and continue out of bounds here. Just a great play from Josh Allen in the pocket. Something that he did several times this year of making the two guys miss and then reacquiring his target down the field, especially Stefon Diggs when he can separate on those deep crossing routes. All right, Nate. So you can see the Bills are in a 2-by-2 set, and they have Dawson Knox at the top of the screen. They motion him in, and you'll see this safety right here drop down, and the Niners drop into what looks like a single high safety look, and it ends up being a cover 3 look. So with the Bills on 2-by-2 set, you're going to see Josh Allen at the top of the third quarter. You're going to see him just look incredibly comfortable in the pocket here. Again, watch his feet from the end zone angle, how light on his feet he is, and how he's moving through his progressions really quick and smooth. So to the top of the screen, you're going to see that too high safety beater where if that safety was to stay deep in that too high look, Josh is probably going to start to the top of the screen, probably throw it to one of those players. And on the snap, you're going to see him look to the top of the screen. So he's looking there, and he actually sets his feet with a one-step drop to throw it. Could he throw it to Dawson Knox here in the flats? Absolutely. But he realizes probably that, my eyes aren't in the proper spot. This is a cover 3 single high look. I should be having my eyes to the bottom of the screen, and just watch him move through his progression here all the way down to his swing route to Devin Singletary. And he does that because he sees Beasley as Beasley breaks to the middle of the field on this option route. There are a couple defenders right here eyeing him. And if he throws it to Beasley, Beasley's probably going to catch it, but he's also probably going to take a lick. So he just swings it out accurately to Singletary. Singletary does what he does best, makes that first guy miss on first down. And it's something I know that you liked with the Bills in this game, is throwing on first down and putting them in advantageous situations. And it was smart in this game because the Niners on first down versus the pass were ranked 15th in DVOA on defense versus and on the run, they're ranked 7th in DVOA. So I like that part of the game plan, Nate. So what did you like about this play from Josh Allen and the Bills offense?
Yeah, well, first of all, I love, the progression. You're literally seeing the wheels turning. And you're seeing the processing. I think he's spending an appropriate amount of time at each level. He's getting through. It's consistent. He understands what he's seeing, and that's the thing you like to see. It's just competence. It's preparation. But these things, the success they had on first down, it does not, that doesn't get lost on me. I think that's a huge part of this offense is the success that they have on first down and throwing on first down. They're one of the pass happiest teams in the league on first down because they also have one of the best first down passing success rates in the league. So a play like this isn't always something that in years past or even earlier parts of the season that Josh is doing, which is checking down to the running back. It's his fourth option.
Which is also play. It's also an extension of the run game.
That's exactly right. And not only that, but you're giving Devin Singletary a one-on-one matchup. And all of us, we all know what these running backs' limitations are, right? They don't do everything on the field. But give me Devin Singletary in as many one-on-one matchups with defensive backs as you can give me, and I think you're going to win a lot of football games. And wow, yeah,
nice snatch trap there.
Yeah, that was good. And on this play, like, you want to get Devin Singletary and more of these matchups. This is better than running him up the gut in the A gap when you're not getting good blocking on the interior. This is better than that. So, I think all around, first down success rate, it really set them up. And on second and short, I mean, you're talking about your entire playbook opens up on second and short, and you're really afforded a ton of options in those goal-to-goal situations. So for me, I just love the efficiency, but more importantly, the processing and the speed in which he is processing. It's very clear he understands. And to your point, I love his thought process is, yep, this isn't the right side. I got to get to the left. And we're seeing growth in that. I mean, we were just talking about him not doing this a week ago. And here we are showing an example of him changing that and being better at it and showing improvement in it.
All right, Nate, third quarter, 2nd and 6 situation. I love Josh Allen's cadence on the day. He did such a great job of changing his pre-snap rituals, his cadence, his inflection. He did a lot of great things prior to snap, and this is a free play. He draws off the Niners defensive lineman here, but I want you guys to pay attention to the routes to the bottom and also the coverage. On the snap, Josh is going to throw it to Beasley in the slot, but the Niners are playing palms coverage, so the corner is reading the number 2 wide receiver, Cole Beasley, and if that guy runs a short route, especially if it goes into the flats within 5 yards or linebacker level, that corner is going to jump it, and this slot defender right here is going to help over the top on Gabriel Davis as he goes deep. So Josh understands the leverage on this play, understands the coverage, and just quickly throws it to Beasley as Beasley hooks it up right there. And you can see Verrett kind of fall there as he's trying to break, and then that safety or slot corner kind of roll over the top. So I want you guys to keep an eye on that play because it's the same coverage that the Niners played on the touchdown to Gabriel Davis later in the game where Josh Allen pump faked it for the touchdown. It's the same exact coverage and honestly a little twist because I think it was almost a blown coverage. There's a blown assignment by one of the defenders. All right, third quarter, 6:15 on the clock, 2nd and 9 situation, and this is the touchdown to Isaiah McKenzie on the wheel route up the sideline. I just love the play design and then just, Josh Allen's mechanics. I mean, this is such a pretty play from a design standpoint, but even from a mechanic standpoint from Josh, because again, look at his base, guys. I mean, again, his hips are, basically parallel to the line of scrimmage here. And he's throwing a touch pass, something that he's had to work on a lot over the years to the wide open receiver. So let's break it down. Let's get into some of the X's and O's. So I want you to pay attention to these 2 defenders right here. And just the overall play design. You have Diggs at the top running a crossing route. You have a slide or under route by Dawson Knox. Obviously some play action to Singletary out of pistol, which is something I want to see them run a little more, especially if they're going to run these play action passes. It's a way to combine Josh playing, from under center, getting that linebacker level into the line of scrimmage on play action passes. And of course, getting him on these, perimeters, bootleg, stuff like that. So watch those defenders to the bottom. He has to work right now. He has to try to work through this little rub by Gabriel Davis. So Gabriel Davis does a good job of slow playing that, kind of holding him up for a second. And then McKenzie is at full speed, and Josh is able to throw that touch pass to McKenzie. So Nate, talk about this play design and the execution, and maybe even some of, the play design this game on the big stage versus the Chargers last week, which we said was kind of vanilla coming off a bye week, which was kind of odd, right?
Oh my God, the complexity of this compared to some of the really vanilla, just plain Jane concepts we saw last week. I mean, this is like, Brian Daboll was bored and drew up some X's and O's on the board and thought of something really, he's like, oh, I got something here. Like this is next level. This is really schemed up. This is a really good job by Gabriel Davis of making contact. He's got to make contact on his route. He's got to get a little rub to create the necessary separation and then let Isaiah McKenzie's speed do the rest. But this is such a fantastic play. And what I also want to add, Erik, is this is a fantastic wrinkle to the jet sweep. This is something we know they use a lot. They want to, with these jet sweeps, as the season goes along, you want to add more and more looks to the same type of formation sets, to the same types of motions. This is a formation they could come out play again. I love how they're using Dawson Knox and sort of that H-back roll. There's a lot to love about this game, this scheme. The personnel package, I really love all the players on the field. I think it gives them some dynamic. You got speed, you've got vertical speed, you've got horizontal speed, you've got possession in the middle with Diggs. There's just a lot to like about what Brian Daboll schemed up on this play. But great job by Josh Allen. Again, this is another one of those examples. His body ends up in the right place. It's not pretty to start, but where he ends, right? And it's in a very consistent. He's turning into a golfer. He loves to use. He's the one that uses a lot of golf analogies, not just me. He is.
You're right, though.
He does. He uses a lot of them. He's a big golfer. But he is what he's finding, and he's in this groove that he's finding, and when he's playing his best football, sometimes he mentions, and he did this week, how the ball the ball comes off of his hand well. He kind of feels how the flight of the football comes off, and early in a football game, he kind of knows how the game's going to go based on the first couple of throws, how they're coming out of his hand. he's going to have more and more better games and more consistently if he's going to continue getting his body in the same consistent position. He's loading his body back into it, his post throw. It's after the ball's out. If he keeps doing that, if he keeps finding consistency and success in his mechanics, this is something that's scalable. You can see this grow and sustain over time.
No doubt. I love your point about that. You know, again, it may not be from the ideal platform, but the way he finishes, the way he brings his hips through, his core through, you're able to get that touch, you're able to get that accuracy that you need on a play down the field. Something that another narrative that he is quickly killing and crushing. He can't throw the ball down the field over 20 yards. Now, he did it several times in this game, inside of structure and outside of structure. This one was inside of structure with a free rusher in his face. He hits McKenzie for the touchdown. All right, Nate, fourth quarter, we're 14:33 on the clock, 2nd and 15 situation. So this is a play where the Niners are showing 2 high safeties up top here. And I love Josh Allen's pre to post snap processing. Obviously, the picture changes post snap, and Josh has to process that coverage and then find the void in the coverage. So again, they're showing almost like a quarters look, right? But you'll see the safety to the bottom of the screen here. You're going to see him post snap drop down into cover 3. So now what the Bills are running is they have Beasley running a deep over route from the slot, and he's running that deep over route, and it occupies Warner right here. So this is Warner. He has to carry and escort this crossing route to his teammates here. So he can't just drive on this little curl route on the numbers by Diggs. This guy has to widen to the flats, especially because Josh Allen takes a peek out there and widens him. And so the corner at the top is not able to bail and then drive down on that because, again, you know, they're playing that cover 3 look. So he's got that deep third. He's got to respect Stefon Diggs here. And you see Diggs curl it up and Josh find that window as Warner passes Beasley on, finds that little window with nice anticipation there, and hits Diggs for a good gain on this play. So what's your thoughts on this play, Nate, from top to bottom?
The other one too, Diggs coming back to the football again. Another good example of not just waiting for the football to hit his chest. He's going to the football, and it makes it harder to defend when you're a defensive back. But yeah, I mean, his ability to hold that defender, and this is good because it's good eye manipulation. He's holding defenders in different zones, and when you play zone defense, you have to conflict the defenders, and the best way to do that is with eye discipline. It's moving defenders with your eyes, and just a subtle look at Dawson Knox opens up, or rather keeps open, the window that he needs to make this throw. So it's a good example of eye manipulation, conflicting a zone defense. And if you're not going to disguise your coverages pre-snap, then Brian Dable and Josh Allen, they're above that now. They're not the kind of guys you can get lazy with. And you would expect, especially a defensive coordinator like Robert Saleh. Now, them missing their top 2 slot corners probably didn't help them very much. But you would expect to see a little more nuance, a little bit more mind games pre-snap, like you would see with the Bill Belichick.
And this is one of the few plays they actually did a little bit of disguising, but it was something that obviously Josh sees this type of disguise every day in practice. The Bills run this type of. They go from a cover 4 look to a cover 3, a buzz look. So this is something Josh sees every day in practice, and he again, almost like he sees it on every play with how quickly he moves through his progressions and reads here. And I like your point about him looking out to the flats there because he did. He moved that defender, and then again, the anticipation and throw to Diggs on the numbers. All right, Nate. So Singletary is to the top of the screen. You're going to see him motion into the formation. Linebacker's on him. Warner is on him. So it's showing as man coverage. So just a little tidbit for Josh to identify the coverage. So, for most of the game, the Niners played zone coverage. We talked about it. We've broken down several plays. Well, they decide in the fourth quarter to go to man coverage, and they do it here on a 3rd and 5 situation. And you're going to see Jason Verrett to the top versus Stefon Diggs on just one of the nastiest routes we've seen in the league this year. And it's something that we see a lot with the craftsman, Stefon Diggs. So 3-by-1 set, Diggs is solo to the top of the screen. And as you said at the top, man, Jason Verrett is no slouch. He's very good in coverage, especially when he can get his hands on that wide receiver. And so Josh trusts Diggs is going to get open here, and the route is just filthy. I mean, he undresses Jason Verrett on this play. Look at the route. Look how
I don't know how people move like that. Like, I don't know how he moves like that.
I don't know how. You see him stick out wide, then he gets inside and gets vertical just for a step, And then he breaks inside like it's an in-breaking route, like a 3-step in-breaking route. And then watch the footwork. There's no wasted footwork. Right there, plants off that right foot, back into the boundary. Man coverage, defeated by Stefon Diggs, man. Talk about this play and the strategy from the Niners here in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, puzzling on 3rd and short with the receivers this team has and the lack of defensive back a prowess just in the middle of the field. And I think I really liked what Brian Daboll did when they went to trips looks. I think they knew exactly the looks they were going to get. I think it manipulated some of the looks they wanted to get from the defense by going into some of those trips looks. Yep. But yeah, just a puzzling backside defense here, one-on-one with over the safety help. But how much help is this safety? He's playing 20 yards off the ball. Yes. He's hugging the hash. That is
short field throw from the left hash into the boundary. It's almost like a condensed area, almost a la red zone, red zone look, stuff like that.
Yeah, just it's a puzzling counter to what the Bills did pre-snap here. But regardless, they did what they did. They came out in man coverage. Maybe they wanted to look like they were bringing a man blitz of sorts. I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, Josh Allen does a nice job of. But this is elementary stuff now. Just make your out route throw. The guy's wide open. Brandon Beane is giving you receivers at the line of scrimmage. If teams are going to run man against you, put the ball in a spot, let him catch it, walk out of bounds, first down. Talk to me on the next play.
Yeah, and I like Josh Allen's mechanics and trust in Diggs here. But there's something that we don't talk about often enough, and especially when teams want to blitz their linebacker or green dog with a running back staying in. You see this little chip release from Devin Singletary here. This is what we call, chip release, but it's also called flare control. So you're going to see him look out there and see if he needs to help any of the offensive linemen. But then he flares out wide here. And why is that important? Because, if the Niners wanted to green dog blitz because Devin Singletary was staying in to block, they could have a guy free right here. Now, if they wanted that guy to drop, if Singletary were to stay in and block, he could be the guy to undercut it. So running this little chip release, this little flare control actually helps open up a window to Stefon Diggs. And as I noted, you see, I think that's Kinlaw right here, kind of get some pressure in Josh Allen's face. But again, watch Josh Allen's mechanics here and his base. Look at him rotate that through, get those hips firing, get that core firing, and is able to swing that back hip through on the money to Diggs.
It's almost, Erik, it's turned his mechanics remind me a little bit of Jimmy Garoppolo, because they are starting to look. It's looking easy for him. Like, that is just such a quick, compact, efficient throwing motion. It's beautiful. And you know what? Here's the thing, Erik. This is 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5 situation here. What are we talking about with the Buffalo Bills right now? We're talking about the number 1 team in football on 3rd down efficiency. Yep. And it's plays like this. It's receivers like Diggs. It's routes like we're seeing from Diggs against man coverage that makes this the most potent and potentially most lethal team in the league on 3rd down.
All right, fourth quarter, 10:44 on the clock, 4th and 2 situation. I love the cadence by Josh again. Kind of shows the Niners show their cards because of that cadence and his poise in the pocket as that rusher jumps right into his face and is cut by Singletary, and then just the mechanics again. So normally, you guys, we've broken this play down several times this year. When defenses want to go to man coverage, especially man free, Josh Allen typically is working the 2 routes to the middle of the field. And if that rat defender in the middle of the field or that linebacker that stays in the middle of the field, he's going to have the wide receiver Cole Beasley in the slot to the bottom, one-on-one on the play. But Josh and Diggs were locked in on this play. Josh was going to Diggs no matter what, especially after he had just converted that 3rd and 5 versus Verrett. And he makes the route. Diggs makes this route look very similar to the route he just toasted Verrett on. He gets a nice in-breaking route and a nice window for Josh Allen. Josh hits Diggs for the first down. So, Nate, I want you to talk about the throw and play by Allen and Diggs, but also kind of the aggressiveness by the staff in this game. They converted, 2 for 3 on 4th downs in this game, and obviously helped fuel the offense and some of the drives, extend some of the drives for the Bills in this game. So talk about that aggressiveness and then the execution on this play.
Yeah, the aggressiveness is, we could probably do a podcast about it. It's so refreshing to see a team leading the league in aggressiveness. That's the kind of thing I just did not expect to see from this coaching staff. The evolution of it has been something, but this is a wide receiver and a quarterback that are on the same page, unlike a duo we've seen. And it's not just Allen and Diggs. It's Allen and Beasley. It's Allen and Gabe Davis. It's Allen and John Brown when he's in the lineup. And now we're seeing a little bit of Dawson Knox getting sprinkled in. Before that, Tyler Kroft. Like, he's got this feel with all of these guys right now. And on a 4th and 3, you have to make this throw without hesitation. You wait on this, you're going to give defenders the opportunity to close this window down, and the ball is thrown right as Beasley makes his break. This is confidence. But, I mean, it's hard not to be confident in a guy like Stefon Diggs. You just know in a situation like this, he's going to find a way to create enough space for you to use your arm strength to get him a ball. He's going to catch it and fall forward for a first down. It's a no-brainer. And good, yeah, I'm glad that you pointed that out. That was kind of my next thing here is great block by Devin Singletary, who, you know, these are the situations maybe you want to see on a 4th down. Maybe you want to see Zach Moss in the game. And Devin Singletary this season has gone about his business and just done it at a good level. Like, he just works. He's out there.
He's a professional now, man.
These are the types of plays, though, that are going to keep him on the field, Erik, especially when he has earned it. And the run blocking, his availability in the pass game. This isn't a guy that's probably going to run for 1,000 yards too many times in his career, but he's a guy, to your point, he's a professional. He goes out there, he does his 1/11th, which is what this team lives by. And that's a great play by him, because I think it's one of the major reasons that they're able to convert.
I agree. I mean, and Josh sees that free rusher coming. Again, the Cadence kind of uncovered that. You see that defender Greenlaw kind of tap the right hip of that nose tackle, saying, "Hey, I'm shooting this other A gap to your right, so you take the left A gap." And you know, Josh sees that guy coming free, and he's trusting not only Diggs to be where he needs to be, but also Motor to be where he needs to be, picking up that assignment up the middle. And I'm not gonna spend too much time on it, but again, guys, look at the mechanics under duress. Look at the hips, look at the core, look at the firing by Josh Allen, and the conversion by Diggs. All right, Nate, this is the touchdown to Gabriel Davis at the bottom of the screen. It's a play and coverage that I broke down earlier in this breakdown. It's a 2-by-2 set, running back set into the boundary to the top of the screen, 2nd and 10 situation. So the Bills motion Beasley into the slot to the bottom, and the Niners play the same coverage that we saw earlier. And again, I don't know what happened. It looked like a blown coverage because this defender right here is out of place in this Palms coverage. You see Sherman right here at the bottom reading number 2. Of course, Beasley hooks it up, so Sherman is going to jump that route. That's what Palms coverage is. He's going to jump that route, and as Davis releases right here down the sideline, one of 2 players has to work over the top. I believe it's this guy that should be helping over the top, not this guy right here. This guy's out of place. In the prior play, he actually blitzed, and usually this is a 3-on-2, 3 defenders over 2 receivers to top of the screen and bottom of the screen, but this guy's out of place, so it's some kind of blown coverage. But either way, Sherman to the bottom of the screen is expecting some help over the top because Josh Allen pump fakes it to Beasley, and that gets Sherman to kind of jump that route to become flat-footed and release Davis deep, and he releases Davis to nobody. This defender should probably be getting over the top to defend that route. Yes, it's going to be a tough ask of him because he's not properly aligned if this is supposed to be Palms coverage here. So that pump fake kind of affects Josh, the passer, as well, because you can see his base is wide, but he's also flat-footed, right, Nate? And he's still able to make this throw. And that pump fake, while it did throw his base and platform off, it also, kind of screwed up his feet, but he's still able to make that throw flat-footed down the field for the touchdown.
Yeah, he's one of the few quarterbacks that's going to be able to do that sort of flat-footed. But I mean, the coverage is blown enough where, Richard Sherman ain't too happy about that.
He's expecting more to be over the top, I believe, man. Right there, you see, he gave him the hand signal. That was the hand signal. The horns right there, that was a hand signal for the coverage.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I don't know why, but I'm just realizing this now that Arizona was in the end zone. I just automatically assumed it was 49ers. And
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I didn't notice it either until right now. No, like on this play, the thing that I've been appreciating more and more about Josh Allen is these are the types of plays last year and in his rookie season. This isn't necessarily a layup. Right, I don't think this is a good example of a play that we would call a layup. A layup's typically a short, easy, a route that they're giving you. The types of plays where you have to make a defense, because you're only in a given game, you're only going to get sometimes if you're facing the Patriots, you might get 1 missed coverage a game, 2 maybe, where the defense we dropped the ball, we're not in the proper coverage, we didn't communicate properly. The Bills are turning Josh Allen, the Bills, and Brian Dable are turning into the type of team where if you do that, that's 7 points. And I think that's the most important thing about how this offense continues to make big plays. This is not an offense that's relying on the deep ball, okay? It's not. Their longest play of the season, their longest pass play is 49 yards. This is not a team that's scoring 75, 80-yard touchdowns every game. They are not relying on that deep ball. But when they go to it, you better be in the right coverage because they will make you pay, and Josh Allen has the arm strength to make you pay from any spot in the field. But this opportunistic offense, this is going to come around. These are the sorts of things in January that matter when in the playoffs. Everyone's good. Everyone got to the playoffs. If the defense drops a coverage in a given series and you can't take advantage, you may not. It's like in Major League Baseball. You know, the good home run hitters, they might get one pitch a game to really hit a home run. So Barry Bonds used to get one pitch a series, and he would still hit the home run. And that's what the Bills have to continue doing offensively, is when there's a drop in coverage, they need to take advantage because those are free points, and the Bills have done it all year long.
Yeah, and, we've talked about Josh Allen's pump fake, whether it's intentional or not. A lot of times he's just resetting and reloading naturally because, as you talked about a few weeks ago, his mind's firing and his arms, trying to catch up. His body's trying to catch up to it. This one he intended to pump fake to Beasley there. And I just love this play because it's a play that they had hit a touchdown for earlier in the year to Gabriel Davis against the Jets, I believe it was, but I think it was called back for some reason. It's a play that was called back, but it was a touchdown that was taken away from Gabriel Davis. But Josh executes this coverage and executes this play on this time against the same coverage, as I said, that he saw earlier in the game in the third quarter. So again, it's one of those things where a lot of the credit goes to the execution of the Bills and the lack of execution on the defensive side, but also goes to the coaching staff and saying, hey, we're going to call this play again when we get a similar situation. If you see this look again, throw that little pump fake in there and push it down the field and put this game away. All right, Nate, so obviously some great plays from the Bills offense and Josh Allen, and even the scheme, the play designs, everything was clicking in that game. And as we talked about, the Niners are a good defense. They have a really good coordinators, probably be a head coach very soon. But obviously, while everything went really well on the big stage Monday night against the Niners and that defense, the Bills have a bigger opponent, a better defense, a much better team overall, I'd say, with if you include the offense of the Pittsburgh Steelers coming up in primetime Sunday night this week. So kind of transition from, what we saw against the Niners and what maybe we could take from this game into the big game Sunday night. Obviously, I think this while the Niners game was Josh Allen's probably his best game of his career, this might be the biggest stage that he's going to be playing on, and the best team that he's going to be playing on that big stage so far in his career.
Tests. The Bills had 2 early tests this season. They failed: the Tennessee Titans and the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think this is the type of matchup. You look back earlier in the season to now, you want to see the evolution. You want to see where this offense has come since those letdowns earlier in the season, where Josh Allen has come since those letdowns earlier in the season. This is, you're facing a defense that's probably got the defensive player in the year in TJ Watt. Minka Fitzpatrick is one of the best young defensive backs in football. Joe Hayden is playing really good ball there. They lose Bud Dupree. That's huge for big. Them. Huge. And he makes that defensive line pretty, you can't double team a lot. Because you have 2 dynamic edge rushers. Without him, you can place some of your attention back on Stefon Diggs, former Notre Dame player, a really good interior defender. They've got some good things on that defensive line and in that linebacker crew. They missed Devin Bush. There's no doubt about that. So this is a unit that lost some players. They're not at full strength, which is good for the Bills. But this is a really good test for them in the bright lights. I think. Listen. Our expectation, we looked at that San Francisco game, and I think all of us agreed the Bills should have been favored by 3 points. It is what it is. The line moved. They were underdogs. That's not nobody on the Bills roster, and nobody in Buffalo went into that game truly thinking the Bills were a 1-point underdog. And this week, they're going to be underdogs again at home. This is an opportunity to, if you want, it's about reputation, Erik, at the end of the day. And this is the type of game where you're either going to make believers of a lot of people that are still skeptical, or you're going to give Fox Sports and you're going to give, PFF, you're going to give all these things, Bleacher Board material to talk about. So, but that's secondary, that's tertiary to the real task here. This is an AFC opponent. We are now talking about playoff seeding. We're talking about how can the Bills be the number 2 seed in the AFC? If you want to be the number 2 seed, you want to give yourself every opportunity to play Kansas City in the championship game. This is a game you got to win. This is a game coming off. Listen, Pittsburgh, I really wanted the Bills to be the team that knocked off Pittsburgh because they were ripe for it. This is not an elite football team. I think they are a good to better than good, but above average football team with above average football with quarterback play and really good defense. This is the Bills of last year, this team. They are the Bills last year. So what I need to see from the Bills this week against the Steelers team is consistency, playing at that ceiling offensively, and beat this team through the air like you did the San Francisco 49ers. They're gonna disguise coverages much better than San Francisco did last week, and they're definitely a little healthier than the San Francisco defense was last week. But there's an opportunity. I think that they're not the New England Patriots defense of 2019. This isn't some anomaly DVOA, unbelievably efficient defense. This is a good physical defense. By the way, you played a good physical defense on Monday night. This is a step up. I'm really expecting the Bills to bring their A game. Why wouldn't they after what we saw on Monday night? What a great opportunity. What a great test. And I know the Bills will be looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm really worried about this game from the offensive perspective, Josh Allen and Brian Daboll, because we saw what the Bills came out with and Brian Daboll called against the Chargers and Joey Bosa. Now, as you mentioned, Dupree's not going to be there, but TJ Watt blew up the Bills last year, and I could see him taking over the game in the same way that Bosa did, against with the Chargers game. And if you add in the wrinkles that the defensive coordinator Butler does with his secondary, with Minkah Fitzpatrick and those guys, they do a lot of disguising like the Bills secondary does. And obviously Mike Tomlin and McDermott are pretty much coaches cut from the same cloth, especially when we talk schematics and the defensive side of the ball. They do a great job of disguising and using those safeties to disguise quarterbacks or confuse quarterbacks pre to post snap. And that does worry me on the defensive side of the ball. So adding in how they can disguise, adding in TJ Watt and how he can, take over a game, that does worry me. And I do think that there are also some hogs up front on that D line that could really push the pocket into Josh Allen's face and really disrupt him and take him off the spot. With that said, I think it will come down to how aggressive the Bills offense wants to be. Do they want to be, come out and throw the ball like they did against the Niners, albeit against obviously a different scheme and presentation from the Steelers defense? Does Daboll call an aggressive game plan or more of a passive game plan so that Josh, again, has an idea on where TJ Watt is and where if he's blocked up or not. So that chess match is going to be interesting. I think that will really set the tone for how this game is going to unfold. And again, I think this is a matchup that scares me a lot more than it did the last few games, the last month or so, that the offenses that they played, because it's not really the offenses I'm worried about. I think the Bills can stop the Steelers offense.
I do too.
I think it comes down to how aggressive Daboll and his staff want to be on the offensive side of the ball, because then that'll also, play off the defense and complement the defense. Because we saw, if you can, while they don't run the ball all that well, and even whether you want to talk volume or efficiency or effectiveness, whatever, they don't run that ball that well anyways. Steelers are kind of the same way.
That's almost exactly the same.
But they're not as explosive as the Bills offense can be. So if the Bills can get ahead of the change, push the ball down the field, make it more of a track meet and aggressive play calling from Daboll and his staff, I think that could totally take out the Steelers offense from a game plan perspective. And I don't think they could really keep up based on the way it's structured under Ben Roethlisberger this late in his career, because he's more of a dink and dunk guy right now. And then every once in a while he'll get that Claypool matchup over the top, throw it up to him and have him eat. But I think it's really going to come down to the Bills offense in this game.
100%. And listen, I think this isn't a hot take. The Bills are going to go as far as the quarterback takes them. And if he's going to play like he did last week, like he has earlier in the season, we know that he can do it over prolonged stretches. This is the time that he's going to have to play his best football moving forward, put his best foot forward. Erik, this is a team that was in the same position last year, 9-3. And they went 3-4 over their last 4 games. That is not an acceptable result this time around. It starts this week. A big win would do a huge confidence boost for this football team heading into the final 3 weeks of the season.
No doubt about it, Nate. Man, that was a fun breakdown. Hopefully we have another one of those, good breakdowns next week after another primetime matchup against the Steelers in Week 14. So with that said, what do you have going on this week? When are you back on the radio? Where can people find you on social media?
So, it'll be a weird schedule on Sunday. I think I'm on at 3 o'clock, something like that. I'm usually on at 8, so it'll be weird for me. But Sports Talk Saturday as normal. I'll have Brooke Pryor on from ESPN. She covers the Steelers, so we'll get a nice breakdown of the Steelers. I'll have her on at noon on Sports Talk Saturday. And then, my normal shtick, I'll be there all afternoon. I'll be on Network and Overtime Show, post-game show. So both post-game shows, you can hear me after the game as well. I'll be on till like 2 a.m., so join me late after you watch the Cover One Buffalo post game, of course.
I appreciate it, Nate, man. That was a good time. I'm Erik Turner. That's Nate Geary from WGR. We will see you next week.